Workers around the world demand for better rights on May Day. Frustration takes off at Manila Airport as over 40 flights were cancelled. Electricity to be supplied to Bung Beratak. Those are the headlines for tonight. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. I'm Shura Abang Mansur and you're watching TVS Nightline. Workers and activists around the world marked May Day on Monday with rallies demanding for higher salaries, reduced working hours and other better working conditions. May Day, which falls on May 1st, is observed in many countries as a day to celebrate workers' rights with rallies, marches and other events.
In Istanbul, Turkey, riot police detained dozens of protesters trying to reach Taksim Square for May Day demonstrations. The Istanbul governor's office had allowed May Day celebrations to be held in another district and deemed gatherings in all other locations as unauthorized and illegal. Turkey will head to polls on May 14 to vote in highly contested elections amid soaring inflation and a cost of living crisis. Over in France, clashes erupted in Nantes as protesters marched across the western French city. French President Emmanuel Macron faced nationwide protests as he struggles to turn the page on a deeply unpopular increase in the retirement age that has unleashed a wave of social unrest. Riot police fired tear gas canisters after protesters threw projectiles at them. Unions hope for more than 1 million people will march through towns and cities on Monday. Macron's popularity has plunged to a near-record low after he stared down trade unions and multi-sector strikes and lifted the retirement age by 2 years to 64. Meanwhile, in South Korea, thousands of South Korean workers occupied a boulevard in downtown Seoul, staging a large-scale May Day rally to demand improved laborers' rights and better working conditions.
더 이상은 비정규직 없는 세상을 만들고자 우리는 투쟁하고 있습니다. 법 제도를 개선해서 또 정부의 정책이 노동자들의 권리를 보장하는 것으로 나아갈 수 있도록 힘차게 싸워.
The group also declared at the rally its plan to hold a general strike in July to denounce the labor policies of South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol's administration. The conservative Yoon, who took office in 2022, has repeatedly said his government would strictly apply the law to labor relations in a country with a long record of fractious industrial relations.
The 9 hours power outage ordeal ended on Monday after power supply were restored at Manila Airport's Terminal 3. But the chaos and frustration continued for domestic travelers after over 48 flights were cancelled and delayed. The power failure comes during a peak travel season as many Filipinos return home from 3-day weekend trips for the Labor Day holiday.
Engineers said a fault current affecting the electrical system were said to be the cause. However, investigations are still ongoing.
Sana ayusin niyo yung sistema ninyo kasi madami po talagang apektado kapag ganito yung sitwasyon. Tsaka sana maging organized at may compensation po sa lahat ng passengers na may sa cancels. Tsaka yung mga trabaho namin, very important po yan sa amin. Kasi kapag na-miss namin yung trabaho namin, matatanggal kami ano ba yung mabibigay nila? Mabibigyan ba nila kami ng trabaho?
Emergency power backup enabled critical facilities at the terminal, such as the airline and immigration computers, to function partially during the outage. Cebu Pacific has offered its passengers departing to and from Terminal 3 an option to rebook or to request refunds to be put in a travel fund for future use. The outage came about 4 months after Philippine authorities halted hundreds of flights as they shut down the country's airspace on New Year's Day, also due to a power outage that caused the air traffic control in Manila to malfunction.
The Bung Beratak Heritage Center, BBHC in Bau, will soon be connected to the state power grid. The matter was promised by Sarawak Minister of Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts, Dato' Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah, after expressing his disappointment towards the lack of basic amenities at the centre.
When I asked Dato' Peter, how is the amenities down here? Water ada, dia kata. Elektrik kita kena pakai generator. What a shame it is. Please, okay. I will make sure, Dato' Peter, I will make sure that this place will get its electricity soon.
Abdul Karim also expressed his readiness to work with the Ministry of Utility and Telecommunications Sarawak in expediting the process.
I believe we nowadays, among the few important things that must be provided when it comes to a place like this, electricity, clean water and connectivity.
He said this when officiating at the Bung Bratak Day celebration earlier today.
Bung Bratak Day is a significant cultural and historical festival that commemorates the history of the settlement and celebrates the Bidayu community. Organized annually by the Bung Bratak Heritage Association, come May 1st at the Bung Bratak Heritage Centre, BBHC in Bau, visitors are overjoyed by the return of the occasion.
Chairman of Penrison Bidayu Entrepreneurs Association, Joris Side, hopes that the event could be gazetted in the national tourism calendar.
Kita harap everybody can come and together celebrate this very beautiful and meaningful day for our Bidayu in Bung Bratak. We hope this event can be more wide open to Malaysia, so it can be put in the Malaysia calendar for our tourism purpose.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was so traditional, so cultural. We love it. We love being here, really. The dancing performance, the band playing, the people just walking, looking happy. That's all very festive. Yes. Beautiful event. Yeah.
Meanwhile, John Wilson and Joe wish for such celebration to be continued, elevated and preserved for the future generation.
Suasana di Bung Bratak memang meriah lah. Jadi ramai pengunjung. Semoga tahun hadapan lebih ramai lagi. Semoga budaya ini semakin maju lah.
Ramai lah, happy kita tengok tempat macam ini lah.
Kira ada rasa bangga juga lah dapat pergi ke tempat asal.
Supaya budaya kita Bidayu Dayak lah lebih diangkatkan lagi lah.
Tak kira di mana-mana, seluruh Borneo. Okay.
Supaya kita budaya Dayak lah diangkat semula lah.
Okey, jadi itu saja dari
macam budaya adat asal harus diperbaiki lah, harus diketengahkan lah lagi supaya lebih baik lagi lah.
Coming up right after the break, it's about time to review salary of civil servants, said Prime Minister, and the government to discuss the increase of employer contribution rate for the EPF right here on TVS Nightline. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The 1st of May today is observed as Labor Day around the world. Themed workers are the catalysts of Malaysia Madani. This year's Labor Day reflects the important contribution of workers in strengthening the Malaysia Madani concept. Officiating today's celebration at Putrajaya International Convention Centre, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said it was about time to evaluate and review the salary of civil servants, especially those in the lower grades.
Anwar said he was aware that civil servants are not satisfied with the salary offered in the civil service, especially those in the lower grades.
Memang saya tahu upah penjawat awam terutama di peringkat rendah dan menengah tidak memuaskan. Sudah sampai ketikanya kita buat penilaian dan kajian semula. Untuk awasan. Dan ini jaminan saya sudah. Sebagian sudah kenal saya dan kenal rakan-rakan saya. Dan kita bagi komitmen. Kita ambil alih dalam keadaan keuangan yang sangat parah. Hutang 1,5 triliun.
The Prime Minister said the government was carefully studying the demands put forward by the Malaysian Trades Union Congress or MTUC and the Congress of Union of Employees in the Public and Civil Services Malaysia or QPAX concerning the salary of civil servants.
Beri saya tempoh 1 tahun. Kalau ada tren peningkatan hasil, yang utama adalah upah penjawat awam. Sementara itu, segala bonus dan apa-apa kemudahan kesihatan, pendidikan yang harus kita bantu, saya akan segerakan.
During the Labor Day celebration, Anwar also announced an allocation of 1 million ringgit each to both MTUC and QPAX to upgrade their administration. Today's celebration gathered 5,000 workers at Putrajaya International Convention Centre. Also at the event were Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and Human Resource Minister V. Sivakumar and other cabinet members.
And in conjunction with Labor Day, several cabinet ministers conveyed their appreciations and gratitude to workers, regardless of their industries, for their contributions in developing the country. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said in Facebook that it needs to be done for the betterment of all.
He noted that the celebration serves as a reminder to appreciate and acknowledge the contributions of workers towards providing excellent service for the comfort and well-being of the people, leading to economic growth and prosperity for the country. Meanwhile, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu, expressed his gratitude towards workers and emphasized the need for everyone to work diligently, especially in the agriculture sector, to guarantee the country's food security. He specifically gave his thanks to farmers, fishermen, and all workers in the agricultural sector.
Meanwhile, Works Minister Datuk Seri Alexander Nantalingi also took the opportunity to wish Happy Labor Day, especially to the workers under his ministry. He said the construction industry needs at least 500,000 workers to run smoothly.
Kementerian Kerja Raya ini memang berkaitan sangat dengan pekerja-pekerja sebab kita memerlukan dalam industri pembangunan atau pembinaan ini adalah untuk 500,000 orang pekerja. Jadi banyak implikasi kepada kementerian dan juga kepada pembangunan di negara kita. Jadi saya gunakan peluang ini untuk mengucapkan selamat Hari Pekerja. Kita menyambut Hari Pekerja dan saya mendoalah semua pekerja kita agar bahagia dan sebagainya.
The proposal to increase the employer contribution rate for the Employees Provident Fund, EPF, from 13% to 20% will be discussed by the government. According to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, the proposal has been tabled, but it is yet to be brought to the Cabinet.
He said this when met after officiating the 2023 Labor Day celebration at Putrajaya International Convention Center earlier today. On Sunday, the Union Network International Malaysian Liaison Council highlighted a number of key issues for the government's consideration, including reviewing the mandatory retirement age. Its president, Dato' Muhammad Safi'i Mamal, said the EPF contribution rate from the employer's share should be raised, especially for employees with a salary of 4,000 ringgit and below, to ensure employees have adequate savings upon retiring. He added more than 15 million workers are struggling financially. Safi was also quoted as saying that the ministry should also hold a dialogue with all stakeholders involved to review all the current policies and labor laws in this regard.
The government has been urged to consider in making a productivity-linked wage system, PLWS, mandatory in the country in order to ensure fair compensation to employees. National Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Malaysia, NCCIM Council member Dr. At Kumara Raja said the call is aimed at the realization that Malaysia's wage system is falling behind and it needed to catch up so that the nation's aspiration to become a high-income country can be achieved.
Kumaraja said this as a guest on a talk show on Monday, as he was responding to a question on the most pressing issue faced by workers in conjunction with the Labor Day. Meanwhile, Malaysian Trades Union Congress or MTUC President Muhammad Effendi Abdul Ghani said it shows how important employees' contributions to the nation's building. He added further that the gesture can be translated by the employers in ensuring the well-being, welfare and interests of the employees.
The Congress of Unions of Employees in the Public and Civil Services, QPEX, hopes that the service period for contract workers in the public service can be reduced from 15 years to 10 years for permanent appointment. QPEX President Dato' Adnan Mat said that the matter is among the proposals that will be submitted to Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim in the near future.
Anand said that if approved, around 30,000 contract civil servants from various ministries will benefit from being absorbed into permanent positions. Previously, he said that a policy had been approved whereby contract workers could be given permanent positions after serving for 15 years and above on a one-off basis. He added that under the previous government, there were also contract staff who had served for more than 10 years who were also proposed to be given permanent positions on a one-off basis pending implementation.
Tetapi pada hari ini adalah hari kita. Sebab itulah kita kena sambut saban tahun. Dan sadarilah yang menjadi tunjangnya yang hadir bersama-sama untuk menyatakan dalam bentuk solidariti bersama-sama menyatakan rasa tidak berbelah bagi bersama QPEX dalam setiap tuntutan kita kepada kerajaan.
He said this in a speech at a QPEX Workers' Day celebration in Putrajaya on Monday. Meanwhile, when met by the media, Dato' Anand said that they would also propose that the government not make cuts to the permanent housing allowance and cost of living allowance for civil servants who live in government quarters. He said it would be sufficient if cuts were only made to the permanent housing allowance and cost of living allowance if allowance was fully refunded.
Dengan cara ini, tidak ada suatu tambahan yang baru daripada kerajaan, tetapi kerajaan telah memberi peluang kepada penjawat awam yang berada di kuartus sedikit perlagaan dalam bentuk wang yang ada kelebihan untuk berbelanja. Jadi yang ini kami yakin dan percaya kerajaan mampu menunaikannya kerana perkara ini telah pun ada dalam bajet, telah pun ada dalam selit gaji pekerja, telah pun ada dalam dasar-dasar pembayaran yang telah dibuat sebelum ini.
At the same time, Dato' Anand also hoped that the government would consider using government quarters across ministries following requests for such residences to be high.
Kalau di Putrajaya ini kita ada senarai menunggu lebih daripada 23,000. Begitu juga di bandar-bandar besar yang lain. Maka dengan itu kami nak supaya quarters yang telah dibuat mengikut kementerian ini boleh diisi oleh pekerja di kementerian lain, iaitu melangkaui kementerian.
thank you for staying with us. Now on to some global updates. Fighting could be heard in the capital, Khartoum, early Monday morning, despite a supposed ceasefire extension between rival military forces. The United Nations has warned of a humanitarian breaking point as clashes between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces enter their third week.
Hundreds of people have been killed and thousands wounded since long-simmering tensions erupted into conflict on April 15. Both sides agreed on Sunday to extend a much-violated humanitarian ceasefire that had been due to expire at midnight for a further 72 hours. However, the sound of artillery, airstrikes and anti-aircraft fire was audible in the capital Khartoum on Monday morning. Many fear for their lives as Sudan's two most powerful men prosecute a war in a country that has faced civil wars, coup, and economic hardship for decades. Violence has paralyzed the city and risks reawakening war in the vast western region of Darfur, scarred by a two-decade-old conflict despite numerous ceasefire pledges. Together, the army and RSF toppled a civilian government in an October 2021 coup, but their power struggle has derailed an internationally backed transition to democracy and is threatening to destabilize a volatile region. According to Sudan's health ministry, at least 528 people have been killed and 4,600 others are wounded. However, the United Nations believe the real toll is much higher.
Sport venues across Cambodia's capital of Phnom Penh is in high gear as it's about to host the 32nd Southeast Asian SEA. As its maiden hosting of the Games, Cambodia will introduce 3 of its nation's traditional sports.
The 3 sports are namely Uk Chak Trang, Khmer Chess, and 2 martial arts sports, Bokator and Kun Khmer. Although the main events will be held at sports venues around Phnom Penh, certain events which require special terrains will be held around Siem Reap. Previously, Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen announced that entrance tickets to the Games would be free of charge to all Cambodian citizens. The 32nd SEA Games will be held from May 5th until 17th.
More than 14,000 people thronged the Mutianu section of China's Great Wall just north of its capital Beijing on April 30th, the second day of the country's 5-day Labor Day holiday. Local media reported that tickets to some popular tourism sites in China were almost sold out for the holiday, with tickets for the battling section of the wall sold out for today and tomorrow's session.
The Great Wall is magnificent, and it's one of the most important constructions in China. We came here today with our baby to experience it. There were a lot of people today, but I think overall it's a good experience. Everybody put a lot of effort, and the order of the line was quite stable.
According to state broadcaster CCTV's report on Saturday, there was a 151.8% surge in passenger travel on the first day of China's Labor Day holiday compared to the same day last year, with the number of air, road, waterway and railway trips rose to 56.99 million during this period.
See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. For more headlines anytime, anywhere, just head on to our official website at tvstv.my or follow us on our social media platforms. And that wraps it up for TVS Nightline. I'm Shira Abang Mansor. Salam Shawwal, Salam Malaysia Madani.